Machiavelli never wrote a book specifically about women, but the world he lived in revealed truths he could never publish. Truths so sharp, so uncomfortable, that any man who spoke them openly risked being exiled, punished, or silenced. If you read between the lines of the prints and the discourses, if you observe how he understood power, persuasion, loyalty, desire, and human nature, you see something most men still ignore today. You see the brutal truth about female nature that societies hide, men fear, and women rarely admit. And remember this, Machiavelli didn't describe people as they should be. He described them as they are, not morally, not romantically, but strategically. He cared only about what works, what doesn't, who holds power, and who loses it. When you apply this lens to women, you begin to understand an uncomfortable lesson: women are not fragile angels. They are strategic, instinctive, and deeply tuned to survival, status, security, and emotional influence. Not worse than men, not better, just different. And if you don't understand these differences, the world will use you, and love will break you. Machiavelli believed that human beings are guided by self-interest, even when they pretend they're guided by morality. And if there is one place where self-interest hides behind emotions, promises, and beautiful illusions, it's in relationships. You can't understand female nature until you accept that every woman, just like every man, has an inner strategist, a quiet calculator, a hidden Machiavellian part of her that reacts not to your words, but to your value, not to your feelings, but to your strength, not to what you promise, but to what you consistently demonstrate. Women respond to stability, confidence, authority, ambition, certainty, and emotional leadership. They test you not because they're evil, but because they are wired to evaluate whether you are reliable, resilient, and worthy of trust. And here is the truth many men refuse to face: women don't fall for the man who gives them the most love. They fall for the man who gives them the most certainty. Machiavelli wrote that people are loyal only when loyalty aligns with their interest. Translate this to relationships: a woman stays when staying feels safe, exciting, and elevating. When a man brings direction, protection, emotional strength, and an energy she can lean on. But when a man is weak, passive, insecure, anxious, or indecisive, she feels it immediately, and her instincts start searching for a stronger center of gravity. This is why Machiavelli would say, do not build your relationship on emotion alone. Build it on respect, because once respect is gone, love becomes irrelevant. Women lose attraction silently, gradually, subtly. At first she complains, then she becomes distant, then she becomes cold, and finally she becomes indifferent. Machiavelli said it best: it is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Not fear as in cruelty, but fear as in consequence. Fear as in, if you leave me, you lose something valuable. Fear as in, I am a man whose presence is not cheap. When a woman knows she can lose you, she behaves differently. She tries, she invests, she respects, she pays attention. But when she feels you need her more than she needs you, she will test you, control you, and ultimately drain you. Women admire a man with boundaries. They lose interest in a man without them. Machiavelli would warn you: never surrender all your power in love. Never give up your mission for a woman. Never seek validation from her more than from yourself. When a man's world revolves around a woman, he loses the gravitational force that makes her revolve around him. Desire dies, respect fades. Her feminine nature becomes unanchored, chaotic, and restless. She does not want to lead. She wants to be led by a man who leads himself first. And here comes one of the most brutal Machiavellian truths. Women follow the man they feel for, not the man they feel sorry for. Sympathy may get you attention, but it will never get you desire. Women do not love weakness. They may nurture it, pity it, or temporarily support it, but deep attraction requires strength. A man who collapses emotionally, who needs constant reassurance, who builds his identity around her approval, This man will always lose the psychological battle of attraction. The Machiavelli also understood how deeply women value reputation and social perception. In modern language, a woman cares about how her partner reflects on her social image. Status matters, ambition matters, growth matters. A man who is stagnating, drifting, or lacking direction becomes a liability to her future, and she will feel the pressure deep in her subconscious, even if she never says it aloud. Women are evolutionarily trained to choose survival, security, and social advantage. This doesn't make them manipulative, it makes them human. Another truth: women communicate indirectly, not because they are deceptive, but because they are intuitive, emotional, symbolic. Machiavelli would say, "Pay attention not to what she says, but to what she does. When words and actions differ, always follow the actions." A woman who loves you invests time, effort, energy, attention, softness, loyalty, and consistency. A woman who is losing interest becomes vague, distracted, irritated, suddenly busy, suddenly confused. Her actions tell you what her mouth will never admit early enough. Learn to read her reality, not her excuses. Machiavelli would also highlight the strategic side of female loyalty. Real female loyalty is powerful. Women are capable of deep attachment, fierce devotion, even sacrifice. But loyalty is fragile. When attraction dies, people follow strength. Women follow emotional dominance. Loyalty, therefore, must be earned through leadership, character, and unwavering self-respect. If you rely on promises rather than presence, on words rather than energy, you lose. And perhaps the most brutal truth of all: women always choose what they feel, not what they claim to believe. Logic is secondary, instinct is primary. A woman may say she wants a nice guy, a responsible guy, a stable guy, but she stays with the man who triggers her feminine core, the man who brings intensity, direction, stability, emotional presence, and a sense of possibility, the man who makes her feel alive, safe, and challenged, not the man who seeks permission to be in her life. In this Machiavellian worldview, the modern man's biggest mistake is not cruelty, arrogance, or aggression. It is weakness. It is self-betrayal. It is giving up his mission for comfort. It is hoping that kindness alone will keep a woman. Machiavelli would tell you humans do not appreciate what is freely given. They value what is rare, costly, and earned. You must become a man of value first, a man of vision, a man of discipline, a man who can walk away, a man who does not collapse under pressure, a man whose life has purpose beyond a relationship, because when you become that man, female nature works in your favor automatically. Understand women through the lens of power, not fantasy. Through behavior, not words. Through instinct, not illusions. Women aren't the enemy. They are simply operating on a code most men never learn. Machiavelli's secret is simple: those who understand human nature thrive. Those who ignore it suffer. The brutal truth: women respect men who respect themselves. They trust men who lead themselves. They desire men who do not fear loss. They stay with men who stay loyal to their mission. And above all, they follow men who know their worth, guard their power, and never give it away cheaply. If you understand this, love becomes easier. Attraction becomes natural. Relationships become stable. Because instead of forcing things, chasing approval, or drowning in insecurity, you become the man Machiavelli admired: strategic, grounded, disciplined, respected, and emotionally sovereign. And once you reach that point, you won't just understand female nature. You will master it. You will no longer fear losing someone, because you have become someone who cannot be replaced.